in Chicago. The announcement coming in that Justin Fields is going to start preseason game number 3. Isn't that something? Because they got to see all the reps, right? Because certainly if you're going to throw him out there on Sunday Night Football in SoFi Stadium and that's Aaron Donald, that's Jalen Ramsey, he's got to get all the reps going on, right? Of course. And then you find out Dalton's not playing at all. Well, of course he's not going to come in as the backup unless you're naming Justin Fields the starter, are you? No. The exact opposite. That's the way this happened at the presser today in Chicago as Matt Nagy's talking about what he's doing at the quarterback spot. You know, the reporters had to basically say, so to be sure, Dalton's not starting this preseason game and not playing this preseason game because he's starting week 1? Yes, he is. Announcement made. The tweeted out QB1 of Chicago, once he signed in Chicago, Andy Dalton is in fact QB1 Sunday Night Football. And Bears fans mostly weep. That's a fact. This is what's going to be part of this whole decision for Matt Nagy. Just full scope if you are new to these parts where you've been. If you're not, then you know. Nagy was on the show after drafting Justin Fields, after moving up to take the Ohio State star. And his plan for Justin Fields was to sit him for much, if not his entire first season. Why? Because he was on the Chiefs staff watching Alex Smith, veteran, take all the snaps, all the starts up until the final regular season week when they put their young quarterback, who they drafted after trading up to go get him, in Patrick Mahomes. And he saw what Mahomes became and what he saw to be sitting there and watching Alex Smith go about his preparation, watching Alex Smith play, watching Alex Smith sit next to Andy Reid, sitting next to Andy Reid while Andy Reid was sitting next to Alex Smith, going through all of that, and now we know who Mahomes is. And at that time, I said, I don't know if you're going to have that space to do such a thing. Because Bears fans want Fields out on the field, and they also saw Andy Dalton in Cincinnati and last year in Dallas, and know that Jay Cutler has more career playoff wins as a Chicago Bear quarterback than Dalton's had in his entire career, period, wherever he's been. And that just ain't going to sell in Chicago. But Nagy is a former coach of the year who is very personable and excellent with the media, and this is how he described part of his decision-making process.
Part of the evaluation process that you say to yourself, where did you think Justin was going to be through training camp? And is he where you thought? Is it a little bit better? Is it a little bit worse? And we feel really good with where he's at. I would say for sure that for his level of where a lot of rookies are at this point in time, he's passed that test. You see what I'm saying? So that's a good thing. So we know that. But now it's just growth for every one of these quarterbacks, Justin included, is everybody has a different story on how they get to the top, right? Every quarterback in this league has a different story. And there's good examples of guys that have played from day one as a rookie, right? There's great examples of that. There's also great examples of guys that haven't played day one, and they've sat a little bit. And talking about guys right now in the league and talking about guys 10 years ago. So we have to create our own of how we do that. And the only thing we can do is worry about having those guys just continue to just fight every day and just be awesome in practice. Mentally be smart and be productive and always be prepared. And that's one thing with those three guys, they will always be prepared. So that's how we look at it.
Now, what could Nagy be talking about right there that he's not going to say into a microphone, and what that might be is what Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated and the MMQB said on Friday's program, because Nagy's not going to tell you the nuts and bolts of what's going on behind the scenes that's into these decisions. He just will talk in generalities and very interesting, avuncular decision-making and conversation. Avuncular, which means he's very nice, very sweet. Okay, look that up. He comes across very likable. And he won't say what Breer said, which is Dalton hears the play call, and it's a very long play call, like 15 to 18 words A third of that is the language that the offensive line needs to know for the play, the blocking protection. A third of that is what the receivers need to know, and another third of that is what the running backs need to know. And Dalton knows which part of the language is for which player, and he addresses that grouping within the huddle. So he knows it's a long play call. He'll say this part of the play call to that group, that part of the play call to the group that needs to know that, and that part of the play call to the group that needs to know that. Justin Fields is going in there just blurting it out, not addressing anyone specifically, because he's memorized it. Who would you rather be in that huddle against Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey? Obviously, the quarterback that can disseminate it and also absorb it properly. Absorb and then disseminate. Not the other kid. That said, there have been many players in this league who know and memorize stuff, only see half the field, figuratively have their head in a certain orifice, up it, and win football games. And if Dalton does not win football games to start the season, certainly when he's home, his first home start as a Bear is against the Bengals. Certainly if Burrow, coming off of his surgically repaired knee, outpoints the Bears offense in front of Bears fans, and Dalton goes 0-2 to start a Bears season, including a home loss to the Bengals, it won't matter how it's going in practice or in a meeting room. Certainly if the struggles on Sunday night happen with Al and Chris and the rest of the NBC crew in front of the nationally televised audience who's curious about the matchup, fantasy, what the stadium looks like, huge audience coming in, and it's a conversation about why not Fields, why Dalton. I know I'm painting a very negative scenario, but it's very real and possible, isn't it? I don't think Bears fans will take the outward going, nice coach, explaining to everybody that everyone's prepared, what you need to know in practice. Let me just tell you the way this is all going. This is what I'm trying to think, what I'm trying to, That kid's going to be thrown out there, and it's going to be maybe his first career start back in the state of Ohio, against grown-ass man Myles Garrett. This is what is possible for Chicago and why I don't think Nagy's going to have the ability to have the room to describe and play professor in front of the microphone to Bears fans. If Dalton beats the Rams and then beats the Bengals, well, now he can be Mr. Chips and tell you, I got this thing handled. Let's get the kid up to speed. Let's keep winning football games with Andy Dalton. And then put into place his plan that he said 2 weeks after being on this show that he wants to sit Fields as long as possible. This is what's happening right now in Chicago and what could play out. And I hope it's positive for him and for Bears fans and for Dalton. He said it's his time. Guess what? Week 1, it's his time. First road opponent in the new stadium with fans in it here in Los Angeles, home of the Super Bowl. Odds of Dalton being the starting quarterback in week 1 with fans in SoFi and then week last for the Super Bowl in SoFi, you could probably put those odds on the head of a pin, but hey, Matt Nagy's going to try it. He's going to try it. I don't know how long that's going to last. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.